Let me find out where Barry is.
Mhm.
Mhm. Elise, you want to start with the first one?
Sure.
Okay. Um, John, why don't you
Yeah.
go ahead and
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. If this is your first time joining us virtually, you notice that you're all currently muted and it remains muted throughout the meeting, except for the co-chairs and the speakers who are presenting on the agenda. Following the presentations, as we go through the agenda, the co-chairs will call on members of the public wishing to speak. You can speak by pressing the raise button on the bottom of your screen, not the wave or thumbs up, as those just appear. Only press the raise hand button once. If you press it a second time, it will go back down. If you are calling on your phone, press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute yourself. Be on the lookout for a prompt asking to confirm unmuting once the co-chairs call on you. The chat is available for technical support only to help with Zoom software problems, not to ask questions to co-chairs, as they will not see the chat. If you're using an older version of Zoom, you may need to find the reactive menu, participant menu, or press or the button that says More, where you will find the raise hand feature in one of those options. If you plan to speak during the meeting, it would be helpful to rename yourself on your device so we may know your first and last name, and it'll be easy for us to organize the meeting. Please do not raise your actual hand or wave at the screen because we might not be able to see you. Chat from your tech support.
Thank you, John. So good evening. I'm Felice Farber. I am co-chair of the committee along with my other co-chair.
Hi, I'm Judy Schneider. I'm the other co-chair.
Tonight we are going to hear a presentation on the plan for the reconstruction of 24 Sycamores Park. And that will be presented by John Ernsberger, Deputy Director of Landscape Architecture for Manhattan and the Capital Division of the Parks Department. So, John, you can take it away. I guess first he needs to be unmuted.
Yep.
I don't know. Okay, great. Thank you. Let me also share my screen. Sharing. Okay. That should look better. All right. So yes, I'm here to present the design for 24 Sycamores Park. We have 4.34 million in funding for this 0.62 acre park. And as many of you may know, we're located here between 60th and 61st Streets, across from the East River and the FDR and Andrew Haswell Green Park, between that and York Avenue. So there is some flood hazard, and on this next slide you'll see in the same area there is some stormwater implications for the design. These have been fully taken into account, and the program that is currently there, and also the program that is proposed, you'll see, is capable of withstanding these. These would be a rather unusual events, but still that they're compatible with the design. The land use is fairly mixed in this area. There are some high-rise apartments just across the street. The 60th Street MTA tunnel runs underneath, just as an interesting thing to know. And we use this slide in part to demonstrate, the appropriateness of which types of things should happen in each park. So you can see from this that St. Catherine's Park, has a substantial playground and has some court areas, but that's quite a ways to the north. And really, this park serves those functions for this area more locally. This is an existing conditions plan, and starting with the area at the public restroom, I will just make some comments on the public restroom right now before we move around the site. Just to say that it is currently closed and we are working on fixes for that. We've got activity. I'm actually in a meeting about that tomorrow. We're working very hard to get that running and open for everyone to enjoy once again soon. And it was beautifully reconstructed in 2021. It's just this utility issue that we're going to resolve with that. Next to the comfort station or public restroom building, still getting used to the terminology, we have a spray shower. And that spray shower has a flagpole that kind of overlooks it. And to the south of those things, we have the 2 to 5 year old play equipment. That's the age range that's intended for, not how old it is, and the bucket swings. And then this all that I've described here is the upper level of the park. If you go north down these stairs about 4.5 feet or so, you have a large 5 to 12-year-old play unit and some game tables here. Moving around into the more sporting area of the park, we have shared pickleball and basketball court areas that are very well used. And to the south of that, we have 2 handball courts currently. So this is that same plan, but with some overlay of some analysis. And this looks at circulation, where the sunny areas are, that's the yellow areas, and some of the challenges of the site. And I just want to highlight a couple of those. I've already talked about the sewer line. So other challenges here are the lack of an accessible connection, an ADA route between the upper and lower levels. That's a big one. We also have, noted here various, specific things like the observations of tree roots that could be particularly challenging. And I think that segue, yes, this next slide shows us our survey of wonderful trees. A lot of them are what people call sycamores. Technically, they're London plane trees, but we don't quite have 24, so we're looking to get the number correct once more by adding enough to get to 24 again. But the idea would also be just to improve conditions for all of these so they have a wonderful rest of their lives. So we're getting into site photos. This really demonstrates the grade change quite dramatically. You can see the difference between the upper and lower levels. And you can get a sense of how that can kind of separate users a little bit in a way that can be challenging. So we're looking at addressing that. Here we're looking back from atop the older kid play unit back towards the public restroom. You can see the flagpole and the game tables and those stairs. These are a few images of the court areas. The asphalt is in very, variable condition, not the worst, but obviously the backstops aren't looking so good. The handball court is holding up well. And we also look at the sidewalks around our parks every time we do a project. So this just shows, we've got, a mixture of conditions there, and we're going to be bringing everything up to a higher standard there. So these were the priorities that came out of our really wonderful meeting, the community input meeting for this project. And just to highlight some of them, a very high priority is placed on expanding the pickleball space, getting proper pickleball, the adequate run out zones, getting that right. To keep basketball, there was a question, and we're going to talk more about this, about the sharing of those uses. There was a request to keep the handball wall and add adult fitness. For play, the thing I want to highlight here is just to really improve the connection between the two play areas, as I started to foreshadow. But otherwise, a lot of things actually seem to be working fairly well regarding the existing. So we're not looking to reinvent everything about that. There was a desire for some kind of passive use space, which would be like a senior seating area or something that can serve as that. And the idea of restoring the trees I mentioned, and just more planting, softening the space. And then I've already mentioned one of the goals is to kind of improve accessibility, but also with that, improving the security lighting, and just, looking at the entrances and potentially providing an additional one. So this is a very nearby site, Andrew Haswell Green, and we're looking at this for some design precedents. There's a way in sometimes parks that are near each other can kind of pick up on each other's vocabulary, and that was one of the ideas that took root in the development of the design you're about to see. And so some of these elements, you may see reflected in the design, particularly this kind of way of making grade changes more playful, or have them have other purposes at the same time as accomplishing a very utilitarian goal of just changing how high you are. And this site is Dykeman Rest, and this is shown less for the materials, but just to give you the idea of one of the things you're going to see. This depicts a boulder scramble. So we have a scramble feature proposed in the design that I'll show. It's basically the idea here is to bring people up in a playful way and activate an accessible ramp so that it's more than a ramp. It's actually kind of fun and playful, and to connect it midway along so it's not just kind of a linear experience. So just keep that in mind as we take a look at the design. Here it is. So I'll try to move around the site in a similar fashion, starting around the restroom building. Just to the south of the building was the location identified the best place for kind of a senior seating area, or a seating area with game tables to be used really by anyone. And so we start with that, and then we move around. These elements are kind of shifted a little bit from what they are, but this is somewhat similar. We have the 2 to 5 play area, and we have the swings here, and there'll be a little bit more swings than we have currently being offered, including an accessible swing. Then, the 5 to 12 play equipment still remains in the lower area, but then I'm going to spend some time talking about the connection between these areas, which is really opened way up, so that what was once a narrow staircase is now a sweeping kind of gesture that you can sit on, that you can move up and down, of course, as stairs, but you can also kind of, it's much more open. The sight lines are open between these areas, and there's actually also the idea of this little overlook here, so you can just really always have a way to check out what's going on in the other area, or even to sit in locations where you can keep an eye on both areas. So this feature provides a lot of seating for the spray shower, which is now located on the lower level as well. The spray shower will be all flush features, so this is also a great place to just run around or draw things with chalk in the off season when there isn't water there. We've found that to be successful a lot of the time, is just having a flexible space. You can also think of that as the spray shower during the summer and flexible space other times. And then moving up, you're going to see images of the actual play units. They're still in development, but they're quite far along. But this would be the 5 to 12 play unit. And then I think I will introduce the accessible ramp in a different way. So off of this 5 to 12 play area is the scramble feature I was talking about, although it uses the same vocabulary as the stepped and seating area, and it connects to the accessible ramp, which finally establishes an accessible route between the upper and lower levels. And all the way at the north end of the site, this is where the picnic tables, that kind of group table area has been relocated to. You may recall that was in this area, if you can see my mouse before. So that is preserved, but it's in a new location here, and where it's a little bit more compatible with the idea of how adults may circulate through the site going to the court areas. So that, may help you to understand why that is located there. And we've got a lot of the amenities that everyone needs up here, such as the drinking fountain, the trash receptacles. So that's what this area does. Uh, and you'll notice that there's a lot of expanded plant beds. This improves the health of the trees and provides some space for flowers and things like that to kind of soften all the existing walls in the site, which can be a little bit, dominate the experience of the park currently. Moving into core areas, you'll see that we're proposing that there be a basketball half court on the north, and this is a dedicated basketball half court. One of the reasons that that is in all the way in the north is because these existing trees here really do need a lot of space for their roots. They're doing well, but we want to make sure they continue to do well. And so we work with our landscape construction unit to find out exactly what they need. And so this is the amount of space that they need. And so the basketball half court is really compatible with the amount of space that we have there. And so with that, the remainder of this core area is now dedicated pickleball courts. So this design does not have overlapping courts. And some of you may have been expecting to see overlapping courts. However, we we don't always we don't like to do that because it can create conflict, even if it's working well now. In the future, we can't always guarantee that. So we look to solutions like this to disambiguate that and allow people to just kind of play without any tension or negotiation. So that's what's reflected here, and it has a number of side benefits. I'll try to point them out as we go along. But these are really proper courts. This fence line has been moved so that there is the proper back baseline run out space, so you can run back for a shot or whatever you need to do safely. And there is also a good amount of side to side space. And the fencing diagram will help to explain, what is at all these boundaries, but that comes up later. To provide a little bit more pickleball activity space, there is an interesting idea here that we're eager to hear more feedback on, and it's the idea of this kind of kitchen skills practice court for pickleball. It actually can overlap, and a lot of the lines here are reused from the handball court. So handball can be played here, as can, practice tennis, against the wall. That can still be done here. But this is also a kind of a new idea of a practice pickleball court where you have shortened, back of court, but you have full-size kitchen to practice your kitchen skills here. And also you can just play a smaller game. If you're not so worried about it being a regulation court, you can just play a fun, alternate version of pickleball that's a little bit smaller here. And then finally, all the way in the south, we have a new program type here at this site, which is adult fitness. We're using a lot of things that'll be shown later in the design that we've seen are really successful. So that's the tour of the site. This gives you a little bit more of an idea, in case my description wasn't working for you, about what some sections through the grade change look like. So it's kind of this abstract, experience. I mean, the section lines are chosen through some of the more interesting parts. The other parts are just normal stairs. But these are to give you an idea of what it might be like, the seating opportunities, and then also it's allowed us to create the opportunity to have someone with a wheelchair to be able to have a proper companion bay experience sitting next to their friends who might be sitting on some of the other parts of it. This is the existing fence diagram, and there's a lot of really high fencing here, including 7-foot steel fence on the outside, facing kind of York Avenue, well, definitely facing York Avenue. And then in the back of the site, we have a lot of 16-foot chain link fence. Internal fencing currently is 4 feet. This is the proposed fencing diagram. Since the handrails show up on this, it can look like a lot, but because there is a need for a lot of handrails when you do stairs and ramps. However, it's actually quite a bit reduced, and I'll just start from the outside. We're proposing the, park's standard 4-foot steel perimeter fence for the outside of the park, which establishes, clean sight lines into the park, which we found really helps with safety and also just being able to see what's going on in the park has a lot of benefits before you enter, and it just makes it feel more welcoming. So for anyone who hasn't heard the spiel before, the 4-foot fence has those reasons behind it. Coming into the site, you have actually very little fencing inside, except for these low garden rail fences, which are just to kind of indicate and prevent people from cutting across the smaller plant beds. But it really is quite open. We're doing some 3-foot steel fence inside the park. Right here by the basketball, just to stop some of those errant basketballs. And the fencing around the pickleball court is 4 feet chain link fence, which is definitely negotiable, but keeping it a little bit lower keeps the sight lines open. And from my research, it's going to stop most of the errant pickleballs. So that was the idea with that height. And just from the economics, keeping some of this fencing allows us to invest more in some of the things that people are going to really enjoy. But this will all be made to look new with new mesh and repainting of the rails, yes, and the posts. Here are many of our tried and true furnishings, but that's good because they hold up really well. We also have asphalt block pavers with recycled shells. We do that quite a bit, but that's quite nice, I think. Cuts down on the amount of asphalt needed to make them. And let's see, anything else? These tables, these group tables are a little bit different. They or maybe not everyone has seen these, but this has been working out a little bit better for us than picnic tables in certain settings, just their durability. It's not to say that you'll see picnic tables too, but this is just kind of another version of that activity. So for the play equipment, here's where we're at. As I mentioned, these are still in development. This is a first pass. I think there's a lot of strengths to the first pass already, and I'll just kind of walk people through some of the virtues here. The 5 to 12 play unit, which is on the left here, the larger unit, it gets people up, I believe, 18 inches, I believe, people who use wheelchairs, that is, before you start to really need to gain a lot of elevation to get to the slides. Unfortunately, these views don't really represent the slides too well. They're in the back of both of these views, but this is the best I could get for tonight, so I apologize for that. And it has a number of, a combination of overhead and like overhead play, a lot of the different things that I look for, with my experience doing playgrounds, the variety of things, which includes, kind of make-believe play areas, areas that would appeal to children with different needs, including autism. So yeah, I think this is a really great start, and it also provides for shade in some of the center areas, which really helps to protect, young kids' skin, especially the younger kids, and also makes these fun patterns. So I could really just talk on and on about these play units, but I think they're coming along really great. And we can also come back to that if people have questions about the play units. I think I described the spray shower pretty well. It'll operate off of an activator bollard, so it won't always be on, and that conserves water, and it also allows people to do something else with the space even during spray shower season if they felt like riding their bikes around. Just don't press the button, I guess. So here are the types of fitness activities that will be provided. We're actually going to provide several different heights of accessible or of pull-up bars, including the accessible height, which is represented here. But this multi-unit really just has so much to discover in it. We've had success with this at Monsignor Cat Park. So gotten a lot of good feedback about it. So I think this is a good way to get a lot into a small space. We're using a variety of mostly native plant material, very hardy and colorful and aromatic plants. Some of them are thought to be rat deterrent. We're kind of rolling this out a number of different sites at the same time. So that is the theory behind some of the things like wild ginger and catmint, although these are also just very pleasant plants to be around as humans, but apparently not so much as rats. And then getting towards the end here, this is just an analysis of the accessibility. I'm sorry, the sustainability practices. It lists some of them here on the right. You can also see how just vastly we're expanding the permeable area, which helps to take some of the pressure off of our stormwater system and keep our waterways clean. So with that, I'm back here at the schematic design. This is the same slide I showed earlier for questions.
Thanks, John.
Felice, before we go to the public, I have some questions that I'd like to ask because I don't think it wasn't clear to me. Although, John, thank you very much for the presentation. Some of it was not clear to me or wasn't answered. So if I could go first and ask some of those questions. On this drawing that you have up here, in the upper level and both in the lower level, you have two circles along a long green
Oh, okay,
stretch.
here.
Yes, is
Yes.
that planting material?
That is, yes, that is this one serves to kind of separate the 2 to 5 in the swing area and has like a low garden rail around it. We always do some kind of barrier to prevent people from running into swinging swings, right? So
Good.
that might help you to understand why plant bed
Okay.
there. It's a
I
way to
just
make
wasn't
that
sure.
something nice. So that is. It also has understory trees planted in it. So you'd think like a redbud or a dogwood or something in it too.
Okay. And the same down below, the other strip
Yes,
is
the
also
same
planting.
same kind of design move here, and this one kind of gives a little bit of separation for whoever's
Oh,
having a picnic here or a birthday party or that kind of thing.
okay. You have a water fountain and you have a bottle filler.
Yes.
Where are they located? You didn't tell us
Uh,
that.
yes. Let's see. I have an appendix, and it has a diagram that'll help. So the blue are all the different features along those lines. I don't think this
Okay.
is fully labeled the way I had hoped. Let's see. So yes, the bottle filler is here, and
Right.
we have a drinking fountain which has both the high and the low side for accessibility here, and a drinking fountain that you already have but will continue to have uh, mounted to the restroom building.
Okay. You can leave that drawing up.
Mhm.
Now I have two things that kind of I'm not sure about. The green arrow, which is the ramp. Okay.
Uh, oh, I'm sorry.
How,
Yes,
okay.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
How do you get to that ramp from the street? Is that it?
Yeah, so it's actually not the green arrow, but so both of these larger pink arrows are the two existing entrances to remain
To the
from
park,
York Avenue,
right.
right? So if you were to come in on the upper level, let's say from York Avenue, and make a left, you are now able to go straight down this ramp
Ah,
unimpeded. So the ramp
okay.
actually runs north-south, and this is the length that's needed. I know it's long, but this is the length that's needed um, to make up for the grade change that we have here. And
Okay.
partly because that length is so long, that's why it's interrupted by this green arrow, which is actually kind of a playful connection that just kind of activates it for more than one purpose now.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not
good.
just,
I
yeah,
just didn't understand it.
oh, that's
I mean, the ramp seemed I didn't understand what that was.
sure.
Okay. Now, my only other comment is where you have the spray shower, um, with the beautiful stairs that you've now put in, um, isn't that very close in the warm weather? If the kids are in the spray shower and people coming down the stairs, aren't they going to get wet?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, that's definitely something we look at. So I'm going to go back to this one. I think it's a little
Okay,
bit more bright.
right.
So the green area really should be, this is the area in which once the sprays are properly calibrated, which they will be at the end of construction. Sometimes they need to be adjusted again, but you can calibrate these sprays in different ways. You may have seen some that go way up in the air, that those are not calibrated correctly. So all the sprays should stay within this area. And it's not to say there isn't, like a really heavy wind that will change that equation, but really a lot of the time you're going to see that dry before it ever becomes an issue. Like a lot of the time it'll stay within the designated spray zone. And that's, we work with the manufacturer of the spray features to figure out what that is and how to calibrate these. So that's the idea here, is that we have,
So it won't affect the people walking down the stairs there.
so they will have, I believe it's a 4-foot lane that is outside of that to navigate through. So that
Okay,
should be dry, yes. And all of this is pitching toward the drain, obviously. So it's not going to be, none of this is going to be able to sit the water isn't going to sit anywhere. Even if it gets blown, like I said, in a heavy wind, um, that should dry out fairly quickly because this is going to be operating during the summer. People are going to only hit the button on the hot weather, and so I started to paint a picture, but really this should be dry and able to be navigated.
okay. All right. Felice, I just wanted to ask those questions
Uh,
before you called on the public.
no, I appreciate that, Judy. I had a couple of questions myself. I was a little confused. Um, so if you're improving the permeability, um, do you need a SWIP, a stormwater pollution prevention plan, for this park? And what is the process and the timeline for that?
Right. You might think so. This one is under the limit of disturbance to require a SWIP. Uh, Part of the reason for that is that the handball court is receiving like basically what I call top treatment only. We're not disturbing the subgrade. So while it is a large park, that is part of because the program elements that have been selected for this area um, don't require us to rip it out and the pavement is in good condition. That's why a SWIP wasn't required for this site. So that's very
Great.
astute though.
Thank you. And then for the two pickleball courts, is that where is there a tennis court there?
No, right now there are, it's shared between I believe three backboards for basketball and 2 to 3, depending, pickleball courts that are oriented east-west. So there's a lot of sharing going on right now to maximize the space. But I was trying to indicate that the trees kind of changed the equation on what that really wasn't a possibility while we keep doing what's right by these trees as they grow.
Okay. And then um, two final questions. So it's right by the Queensboro Bridge, lots of
Yeah.
traffic on York Avenue. Are there treatments that help kind of protect you from the traffic, from kind of poor air quality in the area?
Right. So I guess there's two things with traffic. One is the concern about children going in, and so this continues to have the double gates that we find work well for us. People are able to self-manage in that way with a little bit of help from our staff, sometimes pointing out to newcomers what's the etiquette there. So there's that. With the air quality, I did make a note, and I should have said something about this a little bit earlier from the community input meeting that there was air quality concerns. For this area, not only with York Avenue, but with the FDR as well. And I asked for their help in evaluating what do we do with in terms of site investigation work, which we were preparing at that time. And they said for air quality, you can really use the measurements that are used for the area as a whole, more like some of the site-specific investigations we do, like borings to find out if there's contaminated soil. Um, so I was wondering if there was something along those lines. But they said this is that, they evaluated they looked into this concern and they said uh, this is comparable to a lot of our parks and adequate air quality, and except on those days where it's not for all of us. And you know what I mean? There are those days, but it's not specific to this site. It was kind of the takeaway.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was really thinking more in terms of increased, tree cover or foliage or
Oh,
stuff like
yeah.
that
I'm
too.
sorry. Yes. Well, definitely. Part of that is protecting the trees we have, right? Because they're really doing the lion's share of the work there, just keeping the air clean for us. But also we're introducing a whole new layer of understory planting here. Um, and that helps as well. But I would say our number one thing we're doing is just protecting and even improving the area, the growth area for these trees and
Okay.
planting new ones.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
So why don't we get to the questions? The first person is Phyllis.
Hey guys, thank you so very much. This is amazing. I love it. You did a lot of work and it's truly appreciated. Would you mind going to the fence plan, the one with the fences?
Yes, I will.
Okay. And so my first question to you is, how much distance is it between the end of the pickleball court and the blue line, the fence?
I
Yeah, right in
believe
there.
I might have to bring up my diagram again. It's based upon the recommendations for that run out zone. I want to say it's 9 feet. Uh,
Okay.
I actually have I should bring up the diagram. Maybe I will as we continue.
Okay. So that fence there on the left, that's the only fence I have an issue with. I
This,
think that's way too short
oh,
because when you hit a lob or a line or something, it's going to easily sail over a 4-foot fence.
okay. I actually really appreciate that feedback. What have you found is the best for that, most appropriate? Knowing that the higher we go, it starts to look a little bit funny.
I know
Is
it
eight
can't
feet
be
kind of?
less than 6, but I would prefer 8, to be
Yeah,
honest.
okay. Okay, we can
I
do
really
eight,
would
I think.
prefer. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's really good. Um, my next question is the practice court. What is the actual size of the practice court? He's a little more. Yeah.
Yes, let me bring up the I'm a little bit I will bring up some more dimensions on that. I will start by saying that the kitchen is full size, so that gives you an idea. But the backcourt is about half of the depth that
Okay,
it normally
so that's
is.
40 feet is 20 feet. Okay. So it's probably 10 feet. Probably the same size as the kitchen then.
It it's a little bit larger than the kitchen, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So so next question is, are we getting permanent nets on the 2 regular courts? Permanent like what we have in Carl Shores, in that they can be removed if they need to be, but we don't have to bring our own nets anymore.
Yeah, I don't that has not been determined yet, and part of that can be what is said right now. So Carl Schurz has that, I'm
Right.
understanding. And one nice thing about this disambiguated design between basketball and pickleball is that that's on the table, right? So um I think that as far as I know, is on the table. I don't know if Steve Simon's
God
listening in
bless
and
you.
knows something else, but
Okay. So
mhm,
if it's not on the table or it comes off the table, then there really should be a bin somewhere for people to be able to store the nets
mhm.
for community use. Okay.
Okay, one or the other. Yeah, it sounds very doable.
Yes.
Hmm.
Okay. The other thing is regarding the practice court and the handball court. What would be really awesome is if you could draw a net line on the wall. So when people are practicing against the wall, they know where the net is,
And
right?
that would be for is our I'm sorry, are
So if
tennis
I'm
and pickleball the same?
practicing,
Yeah.
so no, it's no, the
Yeah,
net
so
is
maybe
not
two.
the same.
maybe two
Right.
ones then.
And
Yeah,
different colors or whatever.
sure.
So you know which one is pickleball and which one is handball. But no, it's not. Yeah, the net on pickleball is, I believe, shorter than any other net.
Great.
And handball doesn't have a net. It just has a
No.
wall. There are no,
Yes,
right? So
that's
it's
right.
just, I believe it's 36 inches to 34 inches, something like that, a pickleball net. So if I'm practicing myself against the wall, I want to make sure my hits are going what would be the net over the net.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So that would be really, really cool. And you might want to consider raising that one net to, that one fence between the two pickleball courts and the practice court to 6 feet,
Mhm.
only because if people are drilling
That becomes their
14,
backline fence. Yes.
yes,
So that
yes,
one should come up too.
yes.
Okay.
Okay. And I really do love it. I'm really impressed. I'm sorry we somehow didn't let the players who play there know we were having this today. It would have been great for them to see this, but I know it'll get published and we'll make sure that I get it out to them on the different chats that we have going. And again, I really appreciate everything you've done. And I like the separation, and a lot of my concerns about security and the kids, I think, are answered because we don't have sitting areas where people are like zooming in on kids when they shouldn't be zooming in on kids, you know? So, but thank you. Oh, one other question, sorry. The 3 foot next to the basketball court, what does that 3 foot mean? Is that the width or the height of the wall
Oh,
or?
that is the height of the steel fence that's meant to just stop like wild passes, from
Okay,
going into the
so
plant
my
bed.
question is that high enough? Is not that I really care if the balls go there, but they're going to damage your plantings. And worse is if people have to go jump the fence to get the ball
Okay,
or go
that's a good
around to
question.
the low, if they, I mean, they would go around to the low side where
And
it's
get
only
in.
a
Yeah.
foot and a quarter, but they're still going to damage the plantings, and that's a concern.
Okay. Yeah, I think we look a little bit more into that.
Okay. All right. And
The possibility.
the only other thing I think I would suggest is the blue fence between the pickleball and basketball. I would consider making that a little longer from left to right.
Oh, yeah. So right now that's so you can see what's
Are
there. I
those
know it's small.
benches?
Those are little backless sports benches. A lot of times what actually happens with these sport benches is people put their bags on them, but that's not to say that's not a valid use. But we're trying to provide seating where we can, where it doesn't
Right.
interfere with play. So that is what's happening there. But you're right, that will that interrupts the function of this fence,
Okay.
which is to stop some of this
Right.
interruption between the different courts.
So
Mhm.
here's something to think about. The fence on the back, the 16-foot fence, that's chain link.
Chain link fence, yeah.
Okay, I would consider having carabiners there or hooks of some sort on the fence so people can hang their bags there. And this way the seats can still be seats. And pretty much that's what pickleballers do. They hang their things. And if you have, because the other thing you need that we don't have, and I'm not sure if you guys would want to do anything for this, is when we're doing open play and you have people playing, they stack their paddles. So
Mm-hmm.
they have like a painted thing, like having something on the ground from 1 to 20 boxes where people can stack their paddles would be great. Or having something on the chain fence, some sort of bins, all weather bins, and they can be wire, where they can put their paddles into it and have 20 of those so that people can put their paddles in and save their space. If you've ever been to Carl Shores, you'll see they chalk it on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to get a lot of action once you put these courts in.
You know what?
A
Yeah,
lot
I
of
might need to see an
action.
example of that. But Carl Schurz has just a chalk, just
Yeah.
a space.
Yeah, they
Okay.
chalk it. It's
What is it
self-chalked.
called?
It's
Paddle stacking place?
yeah, it's where you stack your paddles for
Okay.
your to hold your place, so you know which group is
Oh,
next.
I understand what it's for. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So that if you have 60 people waiting to play or 80 people waiting to play, you are able to line up your paddle and
Mhm.
then, and yeah. So somewhere it would be really great to have that in some form, whether it's on the fence itself or something that's on the ground, because otherwise they'll just chalk it up themselves.
Mhm.
And I'd
Okay.
rather they didn't do that because just
That's
makes it
really
less
good to know
tacky.
about. We can see if maybe there's a logical place to just formalize that.
You know, it might be best on the four. I don't know which fence it would be best on, but or even on the 4 foot fence at two between the two pickleball courts and the practice court. That would probably be a really good place to have it.
Hmm.
Okay, thank you, Phyllis.
Thank you. I'm sorry to take so long.
It's quite all right. So I'm gonna skip over the board members just to get to the members of the public. So Rita, you now have the honor of being a member of the public. So can we unmute Rita?
Hi, thank you very much for this presentation. It was really great. I have just a few questions. One, how long do you estimate this construction to be? And will the park be closed during this construction period?
Sure. So the construction will take a year, and the park will need to be closed during that time,
And
unfortunately.
last but not least, when do you expect to start?
We should start in about a year and 6 months, more or less. So we're midway through the design process. And then there's a year of procurement, what we call procurement, which is before construction. So each of these three phases takes a year. So we're midway through the first of those three phases, which is design.
Thank you.
Of course.
And if we can unmute Yasmina?
Hi, can you hear me?
Hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Um, am I understanding correctly that pretty much the east side of the park will be the adult side and the west side of the park will be the kid side?
Um, there's a lot of more active, what we call active recreation sports kind of activities
Yeah.
over there. However, the intent with the seating areas, both
Mhm.
this one up here, if you can see my mouse, that this is a really an all ages space, right? Because it has to be because people will be moving through it like this to get to the courts. And
Right.
then again here, this is envisioned as a space like, yes, children, are not prevented from coming here, but there's just not that much draw.
Right.
You could have a little birthday party here or something like that. But a
Mhm.
lot of the time, especially early in the morning, we think this is a great senior seating area, place to read, anyone seating area, anyone reading area. So there's a
Um,
little bit of that going on too.
was there any thought just for security purposes, to actually having a separate entrance rather than having a pass through for the adults? Because I can just
Oh,
say honestly, as a parent, and it's nerve-wracking. A lot of the city parks are great with the signs saying adults can only enter this area
yes,
accompanied by children. I not so much now, my kids are older, but I've so appreciated that when they were younger.
sure.
And so the design just kind of raises a little bit of an alarm for me, seeing that pass through area and that hangout area that's really actually for adults to go through. It's just a comment.
Sure.
And then I have a question about the activated ramp space, which sounds really exciting. I have to say, one of the most exciting kids park elements in the city that we've ever used is in Union Square, and it's that
Ah,
rocky area. You're familiar with it?
yeah, I love
So
that. Yeah.
there's that tension of play, but also danger. So it's great for the older kids. It's terrifying for the toddlers, or parents of toddlers. And so I'm just wondering if that's what you're describing for that active area,
Yeah.
and how much kids could interact with nature. Possibility of that.
Yeah. That's there's always a balance for that. the way that the interaction with nature is happening here is basically we're trying to really indicate that you where you shouldn't actually step into with the garden rails, but the intent is a lot of these plants will kind of grow over the rail and you'll touch it, and you'll be kind of, the tactile experience will be given to you across that barrier, and so you don't have to go in. That's the intent. And then with this, the scramble feature kind of bringing you through some of that, plant bed. Um, it, I just wanted to know that this is made wider than some accessible ramps that you'll see, because we wanted to make sure if we're bringing kids on here to play, that they're also have enough passing distance for someone who just needs to use it as a wheelchair
Mhm.
route. So I hadn't said that before. And then also with the dedicated entrance, I didn't mention it in the presentation, but we do have an entrance that'll be coming in through here. So this will take some of the pressure and just disambiguate people a little bit more. But also with that, and we've had success with this in other parks. All the adult areas will have the asphalt block that I pointed out with the shells. So there's kind of a roadmap, and a lot of adults, unless you give them a reason to cross safety surface, they kind of know they're in the wrong spot. And then you have all this pavement that's the same type, which is all in the adult areas, kind of guiding you around. Um, so that is the strategy here, and I totally understand the concern. I just wanted to say a couple more things about what things have been already been included that mitigate that a little.
Thank
Mhm.
Um, Thanks, John, and thanks, Yasmina. Next up is Barbara Rudder.
First, want to say thank you. I think this is amazing, but I'm amazed every time a new park is being done. I do have one question, and one is sort of a continuation of what Yasmin said. That was one of my questions that I remembered when a horrible statement about our society that we had to say that unaccompanied adults couldn't go in. I happen to be of the age where I'm old enough that my grandkids are even older. So I understand Yasmin's concern, but I am very happy it's there. I was just surprised. I was going to say I was surprised. And how do you separate with the rules that you're not going to do it? I think you answered it. I will just say we've also heard people that are older that says it just makes us feel so good to look at children, and why are they kicking us out of the playground? So I think it's a balance that we have to do, and I hope that it works. I was going to ask it as a question, but Yasmin brought it up. So that's my statement, that there's two sides to it, I guess, as a young mother and as an older person. Um, and my second question, I don't know if you wanted to comment on that. And
Uh, yeah, just to say, I think that is how that I think this one would by necessity need to be signed to allow adults in because there's a restroom uh, here. So this is an existing condition that we're kind of limited the number of different kind of strategies we could employ, just to kind of explain how we got here a little bit more. Because we don't limit adults' access to bathrooms as a general rule. I can't think of an exception, but yeah. Or that's one of the things that guided us down the strategy that you see here.
Mhm. My second question is about the adult equipment. Was that the pull-up bars? I didn't understand
Oh,
what was the adult equipment.
yes, all of
So that is it. Oh, you okay?
Oh, wow. Um, I I think I'm okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, this is the adult fitness equipment.
So it really is meant for fit people. There was a period,
Oh,
Judy, remember, politically disturbing time when we were hoping for additional equipment for maybe seniors or people that had knee problems or something
uh,
that would want to do it.
oh, it's definitely not meant for just fit people. It's
No?
it's definitely meant for people. I think that a lot of people would find challenging the pull-up bar.
Yes,
However, the accessible one is set at a level where some people might be using it, like it's hard to say it, but kind of leaning as they do it. So that's a kind of beginner variation on that. And this multi-unit actually has some of that those kinds of features as well. The accessible parallel bars have a lot of more gentle exercises you do with them. Uh, so I think there's a range of challenges here that that can allow beginners, people at different stages of life to get value out of this.
that's great. That's really long time coming. And thank you for that. What would be great, maybe even a volunteer would do, is if there was some training, if somebody would come and say there was a class once a week or something to show different ways of using the equipment. It was thought about at one point, but happy to see it and thank you.
Yeah.
But that too is bringing adults into a park slash playground, and hard to separate it, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah. This area is uh, this area is separated from the younger children by a large retaining wall,
Okay,
if you can remember. So there's really actually not much of a visual connection between these areas. It does have its own entrance here that is currently locked. It's an option to reopen that, start to use that, and then this new entrance here also gives another way to just directly enter the what you might call adult area. I mean, teens like these things too, but you know, so there's some options in the built part of what's being presented, which is kind of my forte of the capital team, for different ways to kind of manage the space if something isn't working out with providing different gates.
that's great. But if you want to use the bathrooms, you have to go through, am I right? It's the other side of the park.
Right, right.
You'll have to go through the children's part.
Yeah, you
Okay, I
you
have no
may be
problem, but
tempted to come through this part, which is kind of a mixed area. We also have the
right,
bottle filler here, so this is a little bit adult through here. Yeah.
right. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thanks, John. Next up is Bradley and then Barry.
I saw Sheena's hand. I'm sorry. Just wanted to please, if it's okay.
Hello, John. Thanks. I just have a question about the handball court area. I know Phyllis Smith mentioned something about putting lines on the handball for that. Um, I think that's not a good idea. I think we should keep the handball to what it is, so it doesn't become another extra court for pickleball and discourage the people from playing handball. I don't think we shouldn't. I don't think we should disturb that at all. And then my other issue was the basketball court. We went from a full court to 3 half courts.
One half court, one half court.
So there's no full court. It's just one half
Yeah,
court. That's all.
there was once a full court which ran north-south,
South,
um,
correct.
which was overlapping the 2 to 3 pickleball at different times I've seen that ran east-west. So this design, has its pros and cons, of course, and what it does is it disambiguates the uses and gives basketball players their own space, and the same is true for pickleball.
Okay, so yeah, that was my really concern. I don't want the handball court to be added as a another pickleball court. I think that would be unfair to the people that do come to play handball. I think it's the pickleball courts have enough space to be able to utilize and be able to do what they need to do, and not interfere
Right.
with the handball court at all. I don't recommend that at all.
Have you observed a lot of handball courts and use for handball?
It just
At
got
the
to
community input meeting, we heard that it was used for tennis practice currently, and there
right.
was a lot of demand. and input about pickleball. So that's where this
Right.
design comes from. Yeah.
I think, yeah. But if they're gonna bounce it against the wall, I don't think we should draw any lines and stuff. I think we should just leave it there. Um, some people had some concerns about the handball court. But if we're gonna put it there and leave handball, then we need to let handball stay what handball is. If not, um, just remove the handball court and add extra pickleball to it, if that is a way of doing it. But I see that could be a conflict, when someone wants to come. At times it happens at St. Barton's, where
Yeah.
people would say, I want to play handball, and the pickleball people is taking over that area. So then it becomes our problem now, not someone else's problem.
I
So
see.
I just thought of that situation. But other than that, I think the space is amazing, and we're gonna have the rear entrance right in the back, like it is now. There's another entrance to come through the back
For the
area
handball court?
for the handball court and the
Yes.
basketball court area. So
Yes, and a
you
new
don't
one for
have
the
to come to
basketball
it.
court. Yeah,
Okay, so you don't have to come through the playground area
that's right.
necessarily to access that. Okay, I think it looks amazing. Other than that,
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Brad.
Hey, how are you? It's Brad here. I have a couple comments and a question. One, I just appreciate all the hard work you guys are doing for us, John and Sheena, Steve, other folks. I don't know if Orlando's on here, but there's, in the last few years, there's really been a lot of great improvements to the neighborhood, and we really appreciate that. I also appreciate what you mentioned about the plants and the rats. I think that is amazing. That is a really great upgrade. If that works, let's put them everywhere, please. That is really a dire need. And then on the pickleball, you might have already covered it, but are there going to be permanent in-ground nets the same way there are in Carl Schurz in those two pickleball courts that are on the top? I know you're just
Yeah,
talking about the other
that's
one.
coming on my radar right now. So I will be looking into it, and so it will either be that, it sounds like, or a place to store the nets. Or a third option that's even better that I don't know about yet.
Okay, I will just advocate for the permanent in-ground
hmm
solution. I own and have the agreement with the Parks Department for the bin at Carl Schurz, and it's a tremendous amount of work, which I like to do. And we have folks like Phyllis and others that help, but I would sort of argue that the courts would be unfinished without that. And people having to bring equipment, and it's just a tremendous amount of work to keep the courts going all day, if that makes sense, with changing in and out for players and equipment and things like that. So, and Phyllis mentioned a little bit about, stacking and having different equipment for, rotations of players and things like that. I think that stuff can sort of be supplementary by players, but I think the court should really be complete and finished with the in-ground nets. So I just wanted to make that pitch.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Barry?
Yes, here I am. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'll be brief. John, I thought your presentation was one of the best, most complete, most professional, most engaging that I've seen in the last 31 years.
Oh, thank you.
I'll make it
Too
32
kind.
years. I will give you the benefit. The other thing I had in mind was the water feature that is somewhat adjacent to the entrance for the seniors on the avenue side. What I'd like to suggest is you designate me as the sole owner and operator of the umbrella stand at that station. And we'll work on getting the water really high and really wide, and then I'll be able to retire with all those umbrellas off my stand. Thank you very much. Again, I think you did a splendid job. We are fortunate to have you looking after our open green space. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you.
Barry. Miles, and then Judy.
I just would also briefly like to express my gratitude as a young person in the community, seeing a new park space where I can go play basketball or if I feel like dabbling in pickleball, which is getting more and more popularity, I'm always excited about that. And I always go to St. Catherine's Park, so I'm excited to be able to go somewhere else in the neighborhood. And I just want to thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks, Miles. Judy?
Yeah, a couple of other questions. John, I'm so glad you left the 16-foot fence on the east side of the park. That's really important protection for park users to keep that high chain link fence. I have a tree question that I don't think we covered. We have or had a number of tree beds on the sidewalk on 61st Street and on the York Avenue side. What is happening with those tree beds?
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
that some were there, some are gone. I mean, what are we doing there?
Along York Avenue, we could take another look at those. They're not included in the design. There isn't anything in particular prohibiting us. It does make circulation a little bit better during construction if we don't go everywhere, keeping somewhere for people to walk all the time. But you can overcome that with movable construction fence. There are things. So if you're talking about these ones right up against the street on York Avenue,
Yeah, I'm
um,
talking about the
mhm.
sidewalk trees.
Yeah, yeah. You will notice that everyone around the perimeter, against the outside of our perimeter fence is being expanded. Um, uh, but these few that are, actually against the curb line, we could take another look at it and see what we can do for them as well while we're here. It may be a good opportunity to do nice things for them, expand
Okay.
uh, tree guards, things like that.
Okay. And how many trees do we have? You said we didn't have 24. I remember
Oh,
when this was named 24 sycamores
let's see.
walking around with Henry Stern and his dog and counting all the trees on the
Yeah.
ribbon cutting years
Okay,
ago.
you you do have 25 trees. Actually, one of them's a stump. I'm sorry. This one's not doing too well either. You do have
Okay.
23 trees, but they're not all sycamores, right? So we got a
Oh,
little bit of work to do.
okay. All right. I wasn't sure. Now let's get to my pickleball questions.
Hmm.
Um, First place, what's a kitchen? I don't play pickleball. So when
Yeah,
you and Phyllis talk about the
sorry.
kitchen, what
It's
is the kitchen?
it's the Phyllis could say it better than me, but it's the area of play closest to the net. So you'll
Ah,
see the
okay.
very exciting
Got
back
it.
and forth, without it touching the ground right up there.
Okay. Okay, got it. Now, my last question is the handball court, which is used for handball or tennis, and does get use. Um, that's only one side now,
Yes,
because the other side is the exercise equipment.
that's right.
So how much space is there between the the handball court and the beginning of the small pickleball court?
Oh, they in this design they overlap, and we were just hearing some feedback from Sheena about that may cause issues. So, but this design shows in the same exact space you could play handball, you could play a kind of modified pickleball, and you could hit against uh, the wall practicing pickleball or tennis, right? So there's a lot of different things that this little area now can be used for.
Okay, but the yellow space between the wall and where the blue pickleball court starts,
Oh,
I have no idea. What is that in feet?
oh, this is the area behind the baseline of pickleball,
Yeah,
which you need in order to, because say there's a shot that's long and you're running backwards to get it, you need a little distance between you and the wall so you
I
don't run
got
into
that.
it.
I'm just trying to figure out what's the footage there? I don't know
Oh,
from the drawing. Is that 5 feet? Is it 10 feet? What
it's
is it?
a little less than 10 feet. I think it's 8 feet.
Okay.
Again, I wish I had my diagram in front of me, but it's about 8 feet.
Okay. So, I'd just like to make one comment about the nets. Not necessarily this small little pickleball court? Because that's also if nobody's playing there and somebody wants to play tennis, they can be in the pickleball area playing tennis against the wall. But the two main courts are obviously going to be permanent part of the park. And I think on those two courts, if we're making two pickleball courts, there's no doubt that there should be two permanent nets there. I mean, that's like doing part of the job.
That sounds right.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
the little one, different story, because you've got maybe
Yes.
have a net that hangs on a hook on the wall that people could put up if they are using the court. But otherwise, if people are playing tennis there, then that court wouldn't be against the wall, wouldn't be used. So the net could just hang on. I like the idea, Phyllis's idea of putting hooks on that big 16-foot fence and letting people be able to hang equipment there and bags.
Yeah.
I think that should be part of our resolution, Felice, that we ask them to do that.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Judy. Next up is Gary Kessler.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to speak. I just wanted to speak up and protest against the permanent pickleball courts. I am at this playground all the time with my son. All three basketball courts are in use at pretty much all times. The pickleball players tend to play early in the morning on the weekends, and during the week when kids are at school. But this is a playground for children. Pickleball is for adults. There are different pickleball options around the city, and those courts are available to them with their temporary equipment that they can assemble at any time. But you're taking away two basketball courts. You're taking away a full court option. It's three half courts. Otherwise, the nearest basketball courts for children are on 41st or 40th and the East River, and 68th and First Avenue. So this is really, for this neighborhood, the only option most kids have, especially, they can't walk there on their own in many cases. So, I just want to object to this design. I was in touch with some members of the committee in advance, and there was, sort of no explicit plan. I had heard through the grapevine in the neighborhood that there was discussion around pickleball courts, that the pickleball players were making their play to get them permanently. And I would just like to object on the record that this is a playground for children.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Next up is Yasmina and then Phyllis.
And then Felice, after that, I think it's time to work on the
move to the next
resolution.
topic.
Yeah.
Right.
So I just wanted to second what Gary Kessler said. I mean, I'm just seeing this for the first time and it's sinking in what the floor plan looks like. And it just seems a bit too skewed towards pickleball and grown-ups, in my opinion. And in terms of the number of people that use the basketball courts when I ever go by, it just seems like they're going to be sacrificing a lot.
Thank you. And Phyllis, brief comments?
Yes.
Just quickly, we had a community meeting where there were quite a few pickleball players on and community members. So there are at least 60 members, I believe, that showed up that play pickleball. So it is a growing sport. But on top of that, we teach it to children, and it's now an up and coming sport in school. I know many kids who are learning to do it. We're doing some events with children with special needs to teach them pickleball. But I did want to address Sheena's comments about the practice court and the wall. So that is, just so we're clear, that's a common joint area where everybody is going to be able to practice and use. There'll be no permanent net. And that court is too small to play games on. It's just for drilling or hitting against the wall, or teaching people how pickleball is played. So I just wanted to be clear that as this is presented, and it's lovely, and I do want to state that this is not a children's park. This is a community park. And there are more people over the age of 50 than there are under the age of 50 in our community. So we can't say this is just for children. It's not.
Thank you, Phyllis.
Thank you.
Judy, do you want to take over about a resolution?
Oh, I think the majority of people certainly who are here tonight seem to like what was presented. There is this issue of pickleball always. We just don't have enough park space in CB8. We all know that. And so my feeling is that we should be passing a positive resolution with maybe some add-ins of things that we'd like to see, such as hooks on the fences to be able to hang equipment, have permanent nets on the two major courts, and maybe a small net on hanging on the fence for when people want to use that little court. They can when it's not being used for handball or tennis. And let's see, what other notes did I write? The height of the fencing, Phyllis brought up, to make it maybe 6 feet. 8 feet might be too tall. We might want to include that in our resolution. And I don't know. Can you think of any other things, Felice, that we might want to include in the resolution?
You said there was a separate entrance for children? John?
No,
Oh, sorry.
there's an entrance up above. John, if you want to point to that with your
Yeah.
cursor.
But there wasn't a
There's an-
separate children's entrance.
No, there
No,
isn't.
and then
Okay.
there's an entrance down below.
There are some entrances that probably you might say cater more to adults, but these two main entrances are for all comers.
Okay.
And certainly for we should mention that the park has now become more handicapped accessible than it was in the past.
Okay. And I see Faith Bondi has her hand up.
Oh, I didn't know Faith was with us. Okay, let's hear what Faith has to say. I know Faith was a user of the park with her children. So nice to see you, Faith.
Yes. Hi, Judy. Sorry, I was on and then I'm in like the Trump zone, so I got kicked off, and so I'm able to hold on. It's a disaster area, so I apologize. So I heard large portions of it, and then I missed a large portion of the discussion. So I did have a quick question about the swings. Were there big kid swings? That was a big issue.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
There are two what we call strap swings, which are the bigger kid swings,
Okay.
and two buckets, and then one ADA, which it turns out a lot of people enjoy that one.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what your abilities are. All
Yeah.
the kids always enjoy that. And so, yeah, to Judy's point, I've been a user of that park with my children. My husband and his siblings grew up in this neighborhood. I won't say how old they are, use that park their whole lives. And my father-in-law, who I won't say how old he is, also was a user of the park. And to Phyllis's point, that park actually was not permitted to be used by adults. He actually was repeatedly kicked out of that park for being an adult in that park without children. So I do believe in an inclusive space. I do share some of the concerns that Yasmina raised when I saw the design at first. It is a park that a play space that is used by an inordinate amount of children. I know more and more adults are using it. But when the weather's really nice, an inordinate amount of children use it because, like Judy said, we don't have enough green space in our neighborhood. Um, and so balancing that between the adults and the children can get really difficult. Um, I take from Phyllis's statement that Sheena had some concerns about sharing the kitchen, the shared usage of the kitchen space area. That was my concern when I saw it. That, you know, I think John, you raised concerns about making dedicated space so there's not shared space so there's fighting. When you said that, the kitchen sink area kind of popped into my head as a shared space for that wall where I could see that issue coming up. I do like the idea of like the whole expansive nature of this park in general. So overall, I think it's really positive, and I think the positive resolution sounds great. But I do think we should think about um, if there are some ways to in any way incorporate more uses for in little ways for our younger people. We want to make sure that they're super, super, super active, that they stay active, that they get pleasure, like start enjoying active, and we've taken away huge amounts of their space on the basketball courts. And I know the pickleballers say that like they don't use it, but I've never been there that like the kids don't use that basketball space, whether it's learning to ride their bikes or scoot or play basketball or learn to play basketball with coaches. So just some thoughts. I we need to learn to get along. We need to play. It's a problem societally, and shared space is really important. We need a place for our children as well.
Thanks, Faith.
Faith, I have to, excuse me, Felice. Faith, I have to say, when you look kind of at this drawing, and it looks like there isn't the climbing equipment on the lower level and the upper level. It looks like it's a really small space, but when you actually go to the park, there's a lot of space there for the kids to be active. It's much bigger than if anybody who's at this meeting who hasn't actually been to our park. It's a much larger space than you get the feeling of looking at the drawing now. At least that's my opinion.
So just one question in response to Gary's comments. Just a question of whether that pickleball kitchen practice area, would it be possible to put that as a as a put a basketball hoop up so that they would still have the additional basketball area?
Um, it might be possible to have kind of a modified half court in that space. I think we've done that. Especially if you call it a practice hoop, there's definitely space for that, and I have done that. But it kind of I'm worried about overlapping uses and the input that we heard about how are some people that are attached to the wall. Um, the input that we got made it seem like it's kind of lightly used but lovingly used, so that it should stay. So yeah, it seems like there's
Yeah,
a lot of different ideas for this space now.
if you put a
It's possible.
basketball court in there and there are a couple of guys playing ball with the hoop, and then you've got somebody playing tennis against the wall, I mean, it seems to me they're going to run into one another, doesn't it? I think there isn't enough room there.
Yeah, I was just trying to find to see if there was a way to satisfy all the variety of demands and usage for the park.
Yeah.
I mean,
The feedback we did get was that the sharing between the pickleball and the basketball is currently going well, and I don't know. I think that just it might be fair to say for the people who advocate for pickleball that it wasn't that they told us that we should remove basketball. It was more of a internal policy decision from parks about what we think is safest to do in in a good practice. I just want to be fair to the people who spoke at that meeting.
And
Okay, thanks,
it's
John.
not that many blocks, Felice, from St. Catherine's. And when that's redone, there will be 4 basketball hoops there. 2 on each side of the ball field, 2 on 67 and 2 on 68. So, I mean, they can still walk a couple of blocks and, you know, if there isn't enough room.
Okay. All right. So Judy, did you want to,
So do we want
Yes.
to, from the board members and public members who are present, do we want to take a vote? I have, if everybody's still here, I have Felice, Judy, Barry, Barbara, and Brad. Is that right, John?
and Miles?
Oh,
Miles.
Miles. Sorry about that, Miles. Okay. Did I miss anybody else?
That's all of them. That's everybody.
Okay. So that's 1, 2, 3. Okay. I'm assuming that everybody is approving the resolution. Felice and I will put it together based on what we discussed. And please raise your hand if you want to vote no or not voting for cause. Board members?
Okay, seeing no hands raised.
Okay. I think that's it.
Okay.
John, I want to thank you very much. It was an excellent, excellent presentation.
Oh, and thank you very, very much for having us and all the thoughtful feedback and questions. It was
Yeah,
really a pleasure.
one thing we really didn't get into, but we'd really like to know, Felice and I know all about the problems with the bathroom. We'd like some feedback offline where we are on the bathroom.
We should have more news on that very soon. I have a meeting
Okay.
tomorrow about it.
Okay, well, if you have anything, if you can give us a call or let John know, we'll be happy to talk to you about it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you everyone for coming for that. I hope you'll stay. The next item is the Central Park Conservancy on the restoration of Bethesda Fountain. And the Grand Army North and South Plaza, lighting and concert ground benches near the band shell. I know 2 of those items need resolutions. So Diane, are you presenting? Who is going to present for Central Park Conservancy?
Hi, Judy. It's me. It's Diane Jack here from the Central Park Conservancy. And I'm here with 2 of my colleagues, Sandy Huber, who is our Senior Vice President for Capital Projects, and Nick Koster, who is our Vice President of Design. Is it okay for me to share my screen?
Yes.
Can everyone see?
Yes.
Okay, great. Can you unmute Nick Koster? He's going to present the first 2 projects, which are great, concert ground benches, and then Bethesda Fountain.
Great. I think I'm unmuted. It looks like the green box is there. So as Diane mentioned, the first project we're going to share is an in-kind replacement of the seats and backs of the concert ground benches. Next slide, please. So the backs and the seats, they've reached the end of their useful life. As part of this restoration, we're going to be updating a few details and the wood selection for increased durability. Next. So this project, it's located in the southern end of the park at the northern end of the mall near Bethesda Fountain and south of the 72nd Street Cross Drive. Next. So this is a historic photograph showing the original historic benches that were designed and built here as part of the original park design. Calvert Vaux, one of the park's architects, designed them, and it was an area for promenading and to hear music. Next. But by the 1920s, the Naumburg Bandshell, which is still there today, was built, and it was music venues. This was a very popular location for hearing concerts. This was a space that was very heavily used for that and declined. This is a photo from the 70s where you can just see the shape that it was in before it was restored. Next. This is an image from early Central Park Conservancy. They were rebuilt in the 1990s. And these are staff that were installing the first restoration of the benches. So over the years, we've done some small repairs and maintenance on the benches, but it's now really time for a full-scale restoration. The slats are splintering, some of them are missing, and some of the posts are damaged. Next. So just to go through the scope of the project, so we're going to be replacing all of the wooden bench slats and the seats and the backs and replicating the unique historical flower pattern. We're planning on using a wood that's called Akoya. It's a very durable wood, and we've used it very recently in the park on the restoration of the Bow Bridge deck and Gothic Bridge deck nearby, and it's holding up very well. So we're very feeling very comfortable about using that as a replacement material. We're going to be reusing the cast aluminum bench posts. They're in pretty good shape. They're going to be getting the old paint stripped off them and reapplied before their reinstallation. We're going to be removing and resetting the asphalt paving around the benches when we remove those columns. We're hoping to start this project in the late fall. And it's going to be a phased project. So there are 8 sections of these benches. They'll be done 2 at a time just to make sure that we're keeping seating in the area. And we expect the full restoration to take between 6 and 12 months. So that's it for this. Judy and Felice, do you want us to stop
Yeah.
after each one, or how would you like to do this?
Question, do you need a resolution on this issue?
We don't. Nope.
Okay. Felice, how do you want to handle this?
I might as well keep going.
Okay. Great. So we'll move on then to Bethesda. This is one where we are looking for a resolution. So if we go to the next slide. The last restoration of the overall fountain was in 1981, and the last restoration of Angel sculpture, Angel of the Water, was in 1988. So there is deterioration that needs to be addressed. The goals that we are working towards on this project are to really modernize the mechanical and electrical and plumbing systems to improve the performance, the water quality, and maintenance of the fountain. We're going to be adding in RPZ, which is for code compliance, and there are some bronze details that had been removed and lost since the original construction that we'd like to reintroduce where feasible. Next. So this is located just north of the concert ground benches on the other side of the 72nd Street Cross Drive and is the terminal of the mall. Next. So we're very fortunate to have many historic drawings from the original fountain to really draw from the research and the design intent and to understand what the missing elements are. Next. Also, it's one of the most photographed elements of the park. So we have a lot of historic photographs that have helped us with the research. This one's from 1873, shortly after it was completed. Next. One of the big changes that happened in the early 20th century was that the terrace was repaved to the paving that is still we're familiar with today, the brick paving around the fountain. This is a photograph of its current condition. So the Conservancy, we manage and maintain the fountain, including the annual rewaxing and cleaning of the bronze sculpture. And we do have ongoing maintenance issues with water flow and water quality. Next. So we're going to walk you through the restoration proposal, starting with the sculptures and the bronze feature. So there are 4 areas that are highlighted in red, which show the areas of missing bronze. So the first is a bronze applique that's located below the putti, and that's to be restored, which will be concealing the exposed stone that you see in the image on the left. There's also a bronze lip at the middle basin. That's going to be removed as part of the work. It's going to be cleaned and reinstalled to address some of the underlying issues that are staining the granite below. There are also these little elements for bronze elements for the water flow, which we'll be recasting. There are bronze flower applique that are located in the niches. So we are actually in the midst of our conservancy conservation staff. They're 3D modeling those from photographs and drawings to recreate those for reintroduction. And finally, there's another bronze element at the bluestone base, and we're looking to introduce that at the lower level of the fountain. Next. So moving on to the most deteriorated part. So the lower basin in the concrete, it's in quite poor condition with cracks deteriorated and has a lot of waterproofing issues at the bottom. Being in the Northeast, the fountain is emptied for about half of the year, so it's something that's exposed quite often to park goers. So that'll be getting fully restored. Next. So the basin walls, they've also had issues with waterproofing, and sort of layers and layers of material have been added to thicken it over the years. And so we'll be restoring that with a more historic profile. Next. So now looking at the project and plan. So all of the work regarding the mechanical enclosures and electrical upgrades, that's located to the northeast of the fountain. This is showing the current vault, which houses all of the equipment that runs the fountain when it's operational. Next. So this is a plan at the same scale showing what is going to be added. So the upgrades are going to be housed in this location. They include 3 new structures that will be screened, and most of them are at grade, which we'll see in some of the next slides. Next. So just to zoom in and sort of look at what those features are, we have the RPZ that will be added for code compliance for water backflow. The largest of the vault doors, which you're seeing there, that is for the below grade filtration equipment, and that's really needed for water quality. We'll be filtering the water, pulling out any of the elements that are creating it dirty to keep it very clean. The size is driven by the equipment that's needed to do that for the fountain of the size, and the frequent access that will be needed by maintenance to clean the filters. And finally, there's also an electrical panel, and that's for the power that's needed to control these new elements. Next. So we're now looking at this in section. This section is really to illustrate that most of the elements are below grade. So the white area, you have the black thick line, and that's showing where most of the equipment is located below grade on the slope. Next, this is if you're walking from the boathouse. You can see that there'll be layered vegetation in front of the elements. It slopes down towards the lake, and the electrical closet is showing at 4 feet above its concrete pad, and the RPZ is a little bit shorter at 3'9". Next. So finally, we just have a visual to show you what that will look like in the landscape. This is a photo of the existing conditions. So if you're walking from the boathouse towards Bethesda, you can see the fountain in the distance. This is the view, and you can kind of see the existing vault behind the tree. Next. This is a view to show what those additions would look like without any planting. So you see the 4-foot high electrical cabinet and the 3'9" RPZ, as well as the related and required concrete pads. They're painted in a color that we call Central Park green. It's used for many of these structures within the park that are screened with landscape. And then finally, this is a view of showing the planting that will be added to screen those elements. So as you can see, there really should be no visual impact to the public. This is a project that we're hoping to get started next summer in June, and we imagine it's going to take a year. And that is it for this presentation.
We need a resolution on this one, right?
Correct.
Okay, Felice, should we discuss this one now since we need a resolution on it?
Sure.
All right, does anyone have any questions about this presentation on the fountain? You have to tell me if a hand's raised, John. I can't see on
No
my.
hands are raised currently. Oh, there is one
Okay,
hand.
well,
There-
Barbara, okay, Barbara, I see her hand. Barbara, go ahead.
Just a quick question. What was done about 10 years ago? I can't even, I mean, time just flies. Was it the grounding? Something was done in that area.
San
While
Sandy, are you able to respond to that one? I don't know off the top of my head.
the years have passed by, I remember, I think it was the flooring in that area, maybe not.
Oh, no, we did the Minton tiles in the ceiling.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
inside,
Yep.
right. That was
Okay.
all
Judy?
redone. Yeah.
Yes. That'll
Okay.
be completely open during the construction.
Oh, so you'll have to redo it or?
No, it's
No,
going to be
no.
open. It's in great shape, holding up really well.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, great. Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
I'm
so
all for it. I'm voting yes, Judy.
okay, well, I think it's a great presentation and you know what you have to do. So I make a motion to approve the presentation as presented. Are there anybody who is in disagreement or has not voting for cause? Please raise your hand. John, any hands?
No hands.
Okay, well
Okay,
then
so
it
that's,
passes. Okay.
and
And
just,
we'll,
it's Miles, Bradley, Barry, Barbara, Judy, and myself.
And John,
right.
could you unmute Diane? She's going to do this next one.
Okay, Nick, let me ask, when do you need this resolution by? Because it has to go before the full board on the 17th, I believe.
I'll defer to Diane on that one.
I think that's fine.
Okay.
As long as we have the full board resolution by September 30th, that's fine.
Oh, fine. Then we have no problems. All right, let's move on to the next one. Who's doing this presentation?
I'm doing this one. It's nice to see everyone. I'm Diane Jackier. I'm the Vice President for Program Management. I'm going to quickly go through our last project from the Central Park Conservancy, which is Grand Army Plaza lighting. I think almost everyone is familiar with this location in the park, but of course we have these plans. The Grand Army Plaza is in the southeast corner of the park. There is Grand Army Plaza North and Grand Army Plaza South. Some of you may have walked by this location in recent months. In June 2024, we actually started a construction project on Grand Army Plaza South. We are redoing the fountain. We are restoring the Pomona statue. We are expanding the vault underneath the fountain to allow our operations staff to better maintain the fountain. And we're also doing an incredible amount of beautiful bluestone and granite work. And so we're coming to you today because we have an issue that has come up in construction specifically related to this project. So it is, more of an urgent thing because this is actually in active construction. So it's specifically related to the lighting. And as Nick showed in our previous two projects, we always set project goals. So what we're looking to do here is maintain the lighting levels required to meet public safety standards with historically appropriate fixtures, meet DOT requirements for lighting infrastructure maintenance, and as we're also looking to highlight some of the beautifully historic features that we have in Grand Army Plaza, specifically the Pomona statue and the General Sherman Monument. So just to give everybody a little bit of background, some of you may remember, I remember in October 2011, there was a big snowstorm and sort of ice storm. At that time, all of the trees in Grand Army Plaza North were destroyed. And that spurred the Central Park Conservancy to start the design for an entire restoration project for Grand Army Plaza, both the North and South plazas. We went through the public review process at the time to the community boards, to Landmarks, the Public Design Commission, and construction started on Grand Army Plaza North in 2014 and was completed in 2015. But the intent was for the construction for Grand Army Plaza South to start soon after that. But there were funding issues in COVID, and it did not start, as I said, until June 2024. But it's important just to have that context because there's an incredible importance in this Beaux-Arts design to have this symmetry. And what we did in Grand Army Plaza North is what we want to do in Grand Army Plaza South. So when it came to the lighting and the time that we were ready to start moving forward with this aspect of the construction project, we reached out to DOT expecting to be able to install the light poles that we installed in Grand Army Plaza North, which an example is shown here. This is based on a historic photograph that we have from 1933. It's very important for all the work that we've been doing in the plaza and in so many other places, looking at, Nick's presentations for our other projects. We base so much of what we do on the historic designs. And so we wanted to install these light fixtures. The problem is the little button in this red square here. It's called a photocell. So DOT is responsible for the maintenance of light fixtures and light poles in all of the public parks, all the public plazas. So it's the same thing here in Grand Army Plaza. And so when we went to DOT to say, we're doing Grand Army Plaza South, we would like to put the same fixtures that we installed in Grand Army Plaza North, they said, we're sorry, we can't do that. This photocell, which what it does is actually sense the outside light, and when it gets dark out, the lights are automatically turned on. Obviously saves a huge amount of time in maintenance. No one has to go flip a switch to turn the lights on. These photocells, as they were designed, are hard to maintain, and they would not let us put this pole in Grand Army Plaza South. So therein lies the problem and why we're here with you today. So DOT gave us two options. One was to put in something called a B pole. I think you're probably all very familiar with this. I certainly know the parks folks still on the phone are, but this is called a B pole, and a photocell can typically be installed on top of a B pole. Problem is that's not historic to Grand Army Plaza, and it wouldn't match Grand Army Plaza North, so that was not an option. The other alternative that DOT gave us was to do a 25-foot pole and put the photocell on top of it. We could what's called gang the light fixtures together and have one pole to put on top of the photocell on top of that pole. We looked at a few different locations. One is just south of Grand Army Plaza, right outside of Bergdorf's, but this is an incredibly crowded sidewalk with a lot of other infrastructure on it, so that wasn't an option. Another option that we looked at, which is also off the Landmark site, is this location right here, but this is actually part of the street bed. It's not a raised sidewalk, and the pole for the photocell has to be on a raised sidewalk. So the solution that we came up with DOT is to have two separate poles. We want to maintain that symmetry in the plaza, and we're proposing two poles in the South Plaza and two poles in the North Plaza. And so these are in these grassed areas and would satisfy what DOT needs. And one thing that's important to point out is that we can't open this site until we get this photocell issue resolved. So just wanted to point that out there. But one other sort of aspect of this proposal that we're coming to talk to you about is, given that we have to put in these poles, we are taking advantage of that to do something that we have actually been doing at different historic features all over the park, which is add lighting. So here are a few examples of recent lighting that we have done in the park. The most recent is in the Italian Garden and Conservatory Garden, where we are lighting the fountain and the pergola, and they all just look beautiful. So with respect to sort of that second part of this proposal that we have historic precedent, and we'll just go through some of this quickly to show that these features, both Pomona and General Sherman, have been highlighted before by spotlights in the park. So this is a plan from 1956. These red dots show where the spotlights were located to highlight both Pulitzer and Sherman. These are some details that show what was on top of the lamppost. This is one of the floodlights here, and this is a 20-foot pole that was highlighting Pomona. We also have a few photographs. This is just one of them from 1982 that shows some of these floodlights and spotlights that were there. So we do have the historic precedent, and we would love to put these back to be able to highlight both Sherman and Pomona. So these spotlights were removed in 1988 when the Conservancy did its last large-scale Grand Army Plaza project. These red dots that indicate the spotlights are actually hatched out, and the idea at the time was to attach the lighting to adjacent buildings, be it the plaza, the GM building, the Sherry Netherland, although those were never installed. So just to show you what the current features look like right now, this is General Sherman, pretty dark at night. You can barely see Pomona. So we also just wanted to highlight some other precedents of light fixtures to highlight, that this is something that's pretty common in landmark sites, particularly the newly opened Davis Center in the northern end of Central Park. This is City Hall. We have the New York Public Library here, where there are also several poles, and Little Island. So this is just a section showing what it would look like. On the south side, we have Pomona, which is 31 feet to the top of her head. We have these 25-foot photocell poles that would have the lights on them. Here's a lamppost and the street lights. Same in the north, just giving you a sense of where these would go. So here's General Sherman. Here is this pole with the photocell on top and the light fixtures, a lamppost, this lamppost and a street light. And then this is just in probably 10 or 15 years when the trees go in, just to show that it's even more obscured at the time. We've also done a lot of studies on the light itself to see where the wash from the light would be going. It is directed directly at Sherman on the north, and then Pulitzer and Pomona on the south. There will be 4 light fixtures on Grand Army Plaza North and 3 on Pomona. The Plaza fountain actually also has lighting, but that's only in the summer months when the fountain is drained. Those lights are no longer there. So we just did a few studies to show you where this light is going to be. The red indicates really where the light is focused, which is on Pomona. And in the winter months, there'll be a light wash on the fountain itself. Same with Sherman, just showing where this is focused. Here's an example showing what the finish on the light poles is currently, which is just a black powder-coated finish. And here's giving some of the measurements for some of this. So this is the pole, which is 25 feet. There's a tiny little photocell on top of it. And we have this box here, which is the control box needed for the photocell. We've been working with DOT to make this box as small as possible. And since we have 2 poles, we actually can make that box much smaller than what is standard. And then here are the light fixtures. They're 10 inches in diameter. Right now we're exploring stacking these light fixtures and also tapering the pole. So we're still just exploring that and should have those answers shortly. And then the last slide that we have is just showing you a rendering. This is Grand Army Plaza South, what these light fixtures would look like. This is one on the, I guess, west side of the plaza, and this is on the east side. So I know that was a lot of information, and I tend to talk fast. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question, Diane. The very first drawing you showed us, didn't you say that that little red knob that DOT didn't allow anymore was a photocell?
Photocell, yes.
Right. So how come, this is my only question throughout all of this. I think this is fine. I can't see why anyone would object to lighting the statues. I think that's really important at night. how come you can put a photo cell 25 feet up on top of a pole if you can't put it in the pole?
I think the issue isn't that we can't put it in the pole. The issue is that the design of the pole with this photo cell is hard for DOT to maintain. So it breaks pretty easily. I don't know if it's because it's lower to the ground. Nick could probably answer that question better than I could, but the issue is the maintenance of it. So that's why they've said that we can't put these same poles that we have in the North Plaza in the South Plaza.
Uh, couldn't you, if you're putting the photo, oh no, I guess you couldn't. Okay, then if that's the way you've got to do it, I think that's the way you've got to do it. I certainly have no questions on this issue.
Yeah. Just to
Felice, do
just to
you?
add to that, Judy, I would just currently there's a photo cell in each pole on the North Plaza, and so to Diane's point, when one breaks, it becomes problematic. Whereas if we limit it down to two that are for the entire plaza, maintenance just becomes much easier for street lighting.
Okay, my attitude would be change them all to the same thing, but that's totally up to you. Felice, if you have no questions and nobody has their hand raised.
Barbara has her hand raised.
Ah, okay, Barbara, go ahead.
It's me again. I not only love lighting the poles, I love what you're doing in lighting the fountains and things like that. I just have a quick dumb question. What is the North Plaza? Do you mean on 110th Street?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I mean Grand Army Plaza North, which is just to, I'm going to pull up this map here. So Grand Army Plaza is split into two sections because of Central Park South. So we call the North Plaza, which is basically on the side of Central Park, as Grand Army Plaza North, and the South Plaza, which is right across from Bergdorf's and adjacent to the plaza, is Grand Army Plaza South.
Oh,
Does that make sense? I'm
Yeah.
sorry if that wasn't
Because
clear.
I have to go back and look now more carefully. I'm there all the time, and I love it. That's where they have the menorah and the Christmas tree and everything.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the presentation as presented. Do we have anybody who is voting no or not voting for cause?
I don't see any hands up. So it's Miles, Bradley, Barry, Barbara, you, and me.
Okay, same group.
Yep.
Okay, so you've got your approval, and then we have to present this to the community board on the third Wednesday, which is the 17th. And after that, the board office will send the proposals to you, Diane.
Excellent.
The
That's
approved
great.
resolutions to you. Is that good?
That's perfect. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Well, thank you both so very much.
Thank you.
I thank you all so very much for coming and presenting.
Thank
Have
you.
a good night.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now we're going to hear from our Parks Department people. Robert, do you want to go first, or Sheena, do you want to go first? Whoever.
Robert, you're on mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I just have two things. As far as on the East River Esplanade, we are working closely with the Hospital for Special Surgery to try to complete all the work and reopen the section of the Esplanade in the East 70s. We were able to get a contractor quickly to repair the sinkhole at East 70th Street and another potential sinkhole we found at the East 71st Street. That work was completed on Monday, and meanwhile, we're moving forward with the major Phase 3 reconstruction project, which includes 3 sites on the Esplanade at 62nd to 63rd, 76th to 80th, and 90th to 94th Streets. as well as additional funding was secured so that we're able to award the contract to the low bidder. So Steve just gave that to us this evening.
Wonderful news.
Well, Judy, I wanted to make you happy.
Okay, so can you tell us, that's phase 3 work you're talking about, 63, 76, and 80. How, and 90 to 94th. How long the contract has been awarded? When will they start work and when will they finish approximately?
They're going to finish in about 4 years, but they're going to try to do it in increments. So they'll do one part of it first and open it, and then they'll do a section on the second part of it, and then they'll open the third also. So it won't all be closed for 4 years. They're going to try to do it in partials.
Are they going to start down at 63rd or
Where they start, I do not know.
Okay.
So how will that impact, sorry for jumping in, Judy, how will that impact the work HSS is supposed to be doing for the restoring the pavement and putting in the exercise equipment? Robert?
He seems to have gone away.
I think he lost connection.
Ah.
And Sheena's trying to say something.
Yeah. So yes, he lost connection. Our computers, mine's lost, and I got it back. So they shutting down. We're in the office. I don't think it'll have an impact. I think the way it's going to work out, they'll probably be almost finished their section before we begin the other section, if that makes sense. But I'll get more clarity from Steve on that. But I don't think so. I don't think it'll either just be a short period of time, or just ending to just begin the other section.
Okay, maybe next month you can give us a little more clarity of where they're going to start and how long each, because some of the spaces are much bigger than others.
Correct. Right. So we should probably have some more information on that. Because Rob's went down, I'm going to do the call shoot spot.
Just before we get away from that, he said the sinkhole at 70 and 71st had been taken care of.
Yes.
But weren't there some sinkholes further up in the 70s that they were supposed to take care of? Or is that part of phase 3?
It's probably part of phase 3, but this was the major one that there was a major concern. And they actually found another one, which they took care of as well.
Okay. So then the other part, the upper part of the 70s is phase 3.
Yes, that should be phase 3. Yes.
Okay. All right. Do you want to give us your report?
Well, I'm going to add on to what he's going to report because he went down. For Carl Schultz, we hope to present a proposed design for to you, CB8, in a few months to move through with the procurement process for the reconstruction of the MPP area. So if everything goes well, it will begin next fall or winter for inside Carl Schultz.
And when are you going to present that to us?
Hopefully in a few months. Hopefully.
Okay. So
I don't want to give a guarantee, but hopefully
before the end of the year?
Yes. 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 And if any changes, I'll reach out to let you know.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So for my good portion of this, Rupert Park, the #1 park in District 8. So DEP has approved the stormwater pollution, which was great at the end of August. So the project has now moved into procurement phase. Bids should be solicited by the end of the year or early next year. If we get acceptable bids, construction could begin by the end of next year. Parks is now doing the design work for the public restroom building. It would take 1 year to complete the design options and necessary permits, another year for procurement process, and 18 months for construction. And this is for Rupert Park. So we are moving. I know we're not moving fast enough, but we're definitely in the moving stages now. St. Catherine's, my other favorite park. We are in the process of obtaining approvals needed for the DOB before the project can enter the procurement phase, which should happen in around November. If things go well, construction here also could begin at the end of next year. St. Catherine's and John Jay Park was we received a generous grant from Councilmember Minna's office in the amount of $4,000. The grant was allocated to buy tools, fencing, planting. So we decided that we was going to buy a small power washer unit for graffiti to be used throughout District 8, which was approved by the councilman's office. And we're going to share the remainder of the funds between John Jay and St. Catherine's. And Ms. Judy, I'll speak with you regarding that on what you would like to see. Whatever you would like to get for St. Catherine's, and my team will come up with something for John Jay. And that's about it. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
Thank you. Since we talked about Rupert, Judy, if you don't mind, can we go to Rita?
Right, absolutely. I don't see her hand up, but I'm sure she has questions.
I most certainly do. Sheena, I want to say thank you. I know that Rupert Park is deep in your heart.
Yes.
Not as deep as it is in mine.
We're gonna change the name.
It's not a question of that. We've now reached a different level with the incredible heat that we all were part of this summer. The smell of urine and feces from that park is overpowering and unhealthy. So that's number one. So when you talk about, well, 2026 has 12 months, that's a year. And before I know it, will be 227. This is my concern. I've raised all the money. The money's been there for 6 years. I'm afraid we're going to get to a point where when you buy the equipment that we won't have enough money because it's already so late. This park needs to be done for no other reason, for health reasons too. It is now called the dog park. It is the only park that I'm aware of in the city that has catered to dogs only and not to people and not to children. So basically, we're in a conundrum here. People call it a park, and yet it's not a park. It's a park for dogs. It's not a park for humans. However, it happens to be situated in a very residential area. So what I'm asking, Sheena, is at our next meeting, could you possibly come back with a tighter schedule? Because I need to know what to do. I'm not going to be, and now that I'm not on the board, I could sort of open my big mouth. I will take this to the media. I will take this. We are entitled to a park up here, and we don't have one. So you know where I'm coming from. I appreciate everything that you do. I appreciate if we have a little bit tighter schedule, and if we don't, I'm taking this forward as far as I could go. And I don't want.
I do understand your concerns, right? I'm not disagreeing with you. This park has been, you know, ready for a do-over for a long time, and I understand your concerns about the dog run. We have many dog runs around the city. And I guess trying to appease everyone, it just is very difficult. But hopefully I can't tell you by next month. I can give you probably something by the end of the year, which they're going to provide us with a bigger update. And I'm not disagreeing with you. I think your concerns are very valid. And it's just been a hard struggle on our part as well. It's not that easy. We're going through the motions with everybody, but these things take time. They don't happen instantaneously. They take time to build. And you have a valid point. On my end, I'm gonna try my hardest. I mean, I think I talk about rubric every week in my meetings, and it's rubric, and I can try my best. I can even try to see what I can do to help with the concerns of the dog run. Right? I'm gonna see what I can do, if I can, maybe change, or scrape out the area and put some fresh wood chips in there to kind of simmer down the odor. And it so it doesn't give you that big of a stench, in the surrounding area. I can try my best to work on that.
This is where I'm coming from. Park is 1 acre, and almost 35% of the park is for dogs. And the rest of the park is not habitable. You can't get to it. It's roped off, it's fenced off, whatever, it's planted. The area for the kids is very, very small. So it's not a park, right? It's not a dog run, it's a dog park. And when people say, "Where are you going?" they say, "We're going to the dog park." Well, that's not exactly providing anything for the people who live here, with elderly people, disabled people, or anything else. So it is more than that. And it is, at the end of the year, I keep hearing the end of the year. I started at 2024, that was 2025, 2026. That's when, and money was raised 6 years ago. And I know that it's not in your purview, but I want you to know I appreciate everything that you are doing. If we're going to need bigger voices, more, voices that really get heard, I will get them. That's why I am giving, before I go off, because I've got better things to do than this. But before I go shouting and screaming wherever I have to go, I just would like to know when there's going to be a shovel in the ground at Rupert. That's it.
I will try my best. And Miss Judy also is a strong advocate for this park, and she's been on Steve as well as us, and she's been on trying to make these things happen. Unfortunately, I just can't give you the exact day that the shovel will go into the ground. But I am on your side. Trust me, I am. And I'll try my hardest by the end of the year to come up with a little more accurate time.
I can't thank you enough for your advocacy, and the same for Judy. There is just so much that we can do, even, I'm just telling you what we have around, we talk about we have nothing for handicapped kids at all in this neighborhood. We have the most children's population between 86 and 96th Street, and we have nothing for them. We have no park, and thank you for your advocacy. Thank you, Judy and Police, for yours. But I hope you understand that I'm at the end of my rope.
I understand.
And I would just want to reiterate Rita's concerns about it's 6 years later and there's potentially not going to be enough funding with price escalations and everything that's happened in the interim. So we all have very deep concerns about making sure this project moves forward quickly and making sure there's enough money to actually advance it when you finally do get bids.
Understood.
So now we have a hand up from Yasmina and then from Phyllis.
Well, before Sheena, did you have anything else you wanted to report?
Nope, I'm free to take any questions and get back to,
Okay.
whatever take back so
Okay.
we can try to move forward. But
Well,
I understand.
obviously Rupert is our biggest concern. Okay.
Agreed.
Okay. Since everybody's already spoken, we're going to call on Phyllis and Yasmina, but I ask you both, please, let's try and keep it short. Phyllis, why don't you go first?
Okay, so my question is actually for Robert, but Sheena, maybe you can relay it. So the permitting software allows you to choose Manhattan, and then if you put in pickleball as the permit you want, you get no parks available. So when you want a permit for Carl Shore's pickleball area, you actually have to request the basketball area instead. So I'm hoping that we can make some software changes to make that a little easier. And to give you a heads up, there's a nonprofit called Keen Kids Enjoy Exercise Now. I know that they're kids with autism and cerebral palsy. I think they've done basketball at the 54th Street Rec Center. They have applied for a permit for a couple hours of pickleball in Carl Shores for Saturday, September 20th. But it was very complicated to explain to them how to do it because they actually had to ask for a basketball permit and not a pickleball permit.
That could be a couple of reasons why they haven't changed it, because technically it's actually a hockey area and we haven't officially changed it until we do the major construction on it to revamp it to what it's going to be. So
yeah, but now that we have permanent nets,
it's permanent nets, but they're probably going to wait until we change it over. I can ask the permits office to see what they can do, but until then they could just go through the basketball court area and just put in the comments pickleball like that.
We did
and then we'll know what it's for.
Yeah, we did do that. We put in the area south,
right,
the real free area. We did last time.
Yeah, that's what
we did
we have to do until we can get something more concrete and they change the software around.
Right. So I wanted everybody to understand that we are bringing pickleball to kids. It's not just for adults, and these are special needs kids, which is even more exciting. And I'm working with them to try and set up an actual bi-weekly program with them, not outdoors, but somewhere indoors, for them to have pickleball in addition to their basketball and swimming that they do at different locations. So pickleball is for everyone, I promise. And thank you again, Sheena.
That's good to hear. Thank you for doing that. Okay, Yasmina.
So I have a question about John J. Poole. First, I want to say the renovation for the perimeter was just beautiful. It was really well enjoyed this summer. The staff were great. Having the diving pool open was fantastic. My one question, is the temperature of the pool this year was so bitterly cold, and the rumor amongst pool goers was that there was a leak requiring refilling more often. I have no idea if this is true. And so I'm here to ask, is there some kind of a leak that needs repair?
I didn't hear. I know they said it was cold. I did hear about the water being cold, but I didn't. I didn't. There was no repairs done to check a leak for a leak or anything. That was
Yeah.
something I would have known. I
Yeah,
would have known about. I could look into it, but I
it
don't
was,
think it was that.
I
I'm not
don't,
quite sure.
and so just adding to that, it was only the hardiest people that were able to go in at certain times, which is a bit unusual. So if someone could look into what that reason was. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have, since that's the end of our question period, do we have a motion from someone to adjourn?
Rita has her
Rita,
hand up
you have your hand up. Is that from before, or do you have something new? Okay, go ahead, Rita. You're muted.
If we added pickleball to Rupert Park, do you think we could make it faster?
There's no room for it,
It is
Rita.
something that we should really think about because we want this park for all people, adults, children.
First place, it's hilly, and I don't think there's any room for pickleball there.
I don't
So-
know. We have an acre of land. You know, we've got room for dogs. I don't know why we don't have room.
Yeah, well, it's already been designed. Let's not redesign it, Rita, because then it's going to take even longer than it is already.
Only adding a design, but let's think about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have a motion from somebody to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. All right. Have a nice night, everybody.
Good night.
We'll see you next month. And I want to remind everybody, unless we have something really, really major, that we don't normally meet in December. So anything, Sheena, that you want to bring back to the board, if you can do it for the November meeting, that would be good.
Okay. I hope to have some good news.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good
Okay.
night, everybody,
Good
and
night.
thank you for coming.
Good night.